Chris, and today's video is going to be me going over some redesigns that I have for my characters in the Mind Games book, and then I found the notebook that had my information on like the species in my elf book. So I can now go into a little bit more detail on that. But first, we're going to go over the redesigns that I had on the characters because that's quicker. Now, I had to scrap my first video for this, my first like draft for this video, because my brother walked in and we thought we heard our front door open. Turns out no one came in, so doing great. Anyways, we're gonna go over the redesigns. The first one that I have is Crowley. He has some black spots on him because I had redesigned Apollo, but I didn't like how his face turned out, and I had already drawn him in pen, and so I scribbled out his entire face. So that's the general idea I had for Apollo. It's redesign. And then here is Corelli. I made him like less formal in a way, like less dressed up in a way, like a bit, you know. And that made him look less like a pirate. I made his hair fluffier. I added a little braid, and then like I drew the necklaces that I wanted them to like have. It kind of has like the same like kind of designs a bit on them, and so I also changed like the little spots of heterochromia that he has. Add a little bit into his hair a bit. And I had some like in his like braid and stuff. Then we have my redesign of the tank. Haven't like drawn him in pen yet. I don't think I finished him. Honestly, don't feel like I finished him. And so this is his redesign. I did better on the head and the hair. Like don't know for the shirt though yet. Then I redesigned Paulo again because at that point I had to. And so here's my little ray of sunshine. I just have to draw like the necklace and stuff, but I redid his hair. Some people told me he looked like a girl, so I might change his hair, but I don't really care about that, honestly. I'm fine with that. And then, I'm doing a little D&D group, so here's one of my monster ideas for it. It's a guy with just a bunch of swords. I love it. Anyways, that was all for the redesign. Now, we can go a little bit into more detail on the elves. Yay! Also with the Mind Games book, I've made no progress. I will write a first sentence for the first chapter and then scrap it because I'm like, ew, why did I write that? Like I'll read it again after I'd written it. And I'm like, because I'm writing, I'm like, oh, this is like a cool first sentence. Oh, it's so amazing. Oh, it's awesome. Then I read it. And I'm like, nah. That ain't a good first sentence. So now I'm gonna start reading books, see what their first sentences are, and kind of like compare and contrast like what I would want, like how I want to start it. Like Percy Jackson, like if I want to start it off like like as like a first person thing, or if I want to go with the route of like it's from my point of view of it, like third person point of view. That's what it's called. And then also like good like sentences like that are like attention grabbing and will actually get you to want to like read the book a bit, yeah. Anyways, the elf book, yay. So we're gonna go over the fire elves. I had like full on like other names for them. So like for the fire elves I had pyrokins. For ice elves, cryokins, like it's a little like spin-off of like Greek, Latin, and like other different words that mean like ice, fire, water, nature. I had a lot of different nature elves. Wind, animal. Same thing for the animals, I guess. Etemon, Etemon, Etemon kin for the bug and insects elves. And then we go right back to the animal elves. Then we got the arachnid elves, so arachnikin. Got a lot. Then earth elves too. Moon elves, sun elves, eclipse elves. I was watching Injustice yesterday. So I had like a little thing, like a little page of like Robin made up words. I had like whelmed, turds, aster. I'm gonna start quoting those words now. I'm just gonna start saying those words randomly. It's like, anyways, we're gonna first go over the fire elves or the pyrokins, if you want. We're just gonna go with fire elves. One, they stay in newer volcanoes to soak up the warmth easier. Because actually, this is where like I do the world building. I love the world building. And so I would like search up like different like things for these elves. Because I'm like, okay, so if I'm gonna write about this, I need to know how it works. And so I would just research all these different things. So I literally researched like volcanoes. I researched like Arctic biome like areas and stuff like that. I researched like different like species of like fish and like species that lived in the water, different like just everything I would need to know for these elves and for like so I know what I'm like talking and writing about. And so I was like, anyways, this is where that will come in because two, they stay away from super volcanoes because of the cooling effect. Because when volcanoes erupt, they will actually like cool down the environment because of like all the ash and stuff that they put up into the air, into the atmosphere. And so like super volcanoes, they've like not exploded. They've erupted so many times that at that point there's like a cooling effect and like the volcano itself will also like cool down a bit. And so they will want to stay away from those types of volcanoes. It's been a while since I've researched it, so I'm basically like just going off of memory right now, so I could be wrong on that. But it's pretty much what I remember. Um, and then third, they breathe the volcanic gas to gain a like power boost for a couple of hours, so like more strength or something like that. I'm pretty sure I went over that in the last video, but like don't remember. It's been a while. It's been like 2 months. I'm busy. I'm busy, homies. Three. No, this is four. I can't count. Completely fire resistant and mostly lava resistant. So they can walk through fire just fine. Lava, they will bathe in it, but they can't spend too much time in it. You know? It's like when you go into a pool and you're swimming around. You can't spend too much time in there. Or else you could die from like exhaustion, dehydration. Because yes, you do sweat when you're in the pool. You just don't realize it because you're in water. Which is where like when your foot will start cramping, that's because you're dehydrated. I learned that from my swim class. 5. They will use hardened magma as armor and weapons, which I wanted like because that was really cool. Because I thought like it's definitely gonna be like a fantasy thing, like a fantasy book, and so I want it to where like they had like old type of like armor and stuff and weapons, and so I wanted to like base it off of that, you know. Have hidden rooms on volcanoes. This is 6, I think. Have hidden rooms on volcanoes to trap volcanic gas when volcanoes erupt, or like the whole like breathing it in and getting that power boost, so that way if they go to war, it's easy. Um, their allies. Their allies. Okay, how to reread that? Hold on. They're allies with elves that are related to like plants and ice. So like the ice elves and the nature elves and stuff like that. They're allies with them. Stupid cat. They're they're allies with them. Forgot the reason. forgot the reason. They stay away from underwater volcanoes because of the water elves. Because that's their domain. That's where they live. Hi, kitty. Bye. Man, that's all I got on the fire elves. I had to I scribbled some stuff out. Also, they're enemies with the air, with like the wind elves. They don't really like them. That's the part I crossed out because it was like a whole, part of a whole thing. Now we're going on to the ice elves. We got quite a bit. At some point, I'm just gonna split this into a different video. Think once we reach the wind elves is when I'll like end the video and be like, sorry, it's taking a while, or maybe even before that. I don't know. So the ice elves, they'll build cities under snow and ice buildups. So like they live under the snow and under the ground. It's like trap heat and stuff. So they're not like freezing, but they're not exactly warm. But they're fine. They're allies with the aquatic elves. So yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. They aren't allies with the ice elves, with the fire elves, and the fire elves aren't allies with the ice elves. So it doesn't make sense. You know? They have thicker skin to withstand the cold climates that they live in. Because it's like seals, how they'll have like the blubber and like the fat, so that way they stay warm in colder climates. Like for like all those like little for the all the little like the animals that live in like the colder climates, and they're chunky, they're thick, so that way they can survive colder climates. Which is why me, who is skinny, really skinny, I freeze cold all the time. I would die. So been trying to like not be skinny. It don't work. So I just gotta deal with freezing. Anyways, number 4. I don't have a lot on the ice elves. I scribbled a lot out. Anyways, 4. They use old volcanic stone as armor and for their weapons. So they're kind of like the fire elves on that, but they're not the fire elves. So I was thinking at first like ice, but I'm like, no, that'll just crack. Or could. Think on that one. Anyways, 5. They use the furs of animals that they kill to make everything a bit warmer, so like for their clothes, for their rugs, for their like everything basically. That's what they use to stay warm. Also, I had it to where they have bluish skin and white hair to blend in with the snow, but I wanted like their skin to be like a darker color a bit. I was like debating on that because with like the darker skin, then they can like soak up the warmth a lot easier, like from like the sun, like they soak that up a bit more, and so that way it's like easier on them, so they're not like super cold. Like that could work on that. I don't know. I kind of like that idea though. I'm gonna draw them at some point, and depending on how I like color in their skin, we'll decide on that. We're going to the water elves now. So we're gonna go with the tropical water elves right now because I have different types. 1, they can close the gills on their necks when out of water and can close their noses when underwater. 2, they have thin skin between their fingers and toes for swimming, so like they have like little webbed like hands and feet, like Calder from Young Justice. Right now, I'm just gonna be listing like DC things, like little DC references because I like just watched Young Justice. I know that's not the only like show or like place where like they have like characters who are underwater and have like webbed hands and feet. But I don't care. I love DC. Not more than Marvel, though. Well, in two different aspects. I like DC for like the characters and like the story, but I like Marvel for their movies, their old movies specifically. The new ones aren't that good. They aren't that good. But it's fine. It's fine. Anyways, number 3, they're allies with pretty much everybody. They're pretty much friends with everyone. They're not enemies with the fire elves. Even though, yeah, it's like the fire elves will stay away from underwater volcanoes because of the water elves, but like they understand like there's a boundary, you know? They understand like that's their territory, this is ours. Also, we would not survive down there. It's like they 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 respect each other in a way. Like the water elves respect everyone. Pretty much sure I had it to her. Yeah. Well, no, this is only with the tropical water elves. Um, Number 4, they are smaller to be able to swim into coral reefs and are very agile to be able to avoid predators easier. Because they're going to be small, meaning they're going to be eaten, you know? And I actually based that off of actual tropical fish, and our look is going to be very much like based off of a tropical fish. Because I was like, you know, it's going to be a tropical water elf. I'm going to base it off of like a like actual tropical fish. 5, have small dorsal fin on the back of their calves. And yeah. 6 are very friendly but easily spooked. Because that's what tropical fish are like. Then we have the other water elves, which are the Arctic ones. They're like the last one. And I think I like normal water elves, but I don't have that in here. Normal water elves are just bigger, and they're everywhere. So the Arctic water elves have thick skin to withstand the cold temperatures, much like the ice elves. They have darker skin to blend in and to absorb sunlight, which is what I was thinking of, like with the ice elves, but with the like darker skin color, they won't be able to like blend in, you know. And so I think that's why I didn't want to do that with the ice elves at first. But maybe depends. I don't know. I'll figure that one out. Um, they live inside glaciers and small cities in the rocks under the water. Yeah. They kind of like live underground. They live underwater, definitely. But they don't like live in the water. Like they don't sleep under the water, you know? I don't know. They wear thick seal, walrus, and whale skins. So they can like stay warm and cozy. They're not as friendly as other water elves, so they're not the nicest. And I even like decorated this page. Get the little snowman snowflake. The other ones, I didn't. Oh, and then we get into like the other elves, and you can tell when I started like getting bored while doing it because the things are shorter. So the nature elves, armor made of specially woven bark. They're small enough to live in the treetops. And I crossed out a lot of stuff. And then they're allies with the fire elves. That's all I got for them. Well, this is the forest, like the tree nature elves. The nature elves have a lot of variants. A Marvel reference. Yes, I watched the Loki show from this, and it was really good. I love Loki. He's an amazing character. I love him in the Rick Riordan like verse. I love him from Marvel. I love him from the Norse mythologies. I'm pretty sure in Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. I'm reading that. It's really good. Pretty sure the god who changes sex. I haven't gone very far. Like I haven't finished it. I'm pretty sure that's Loki. Because I know Loki changes his sex all the time. and he's a trickster. And while reading it, I'm like, this guy's a trickster. This guy is funny. This guy a little goober. He little silly. I think that guy is Loki. Not gonna lie, but it's fine. It's fine. Anyways, we're going back to my nature elves. This is like the bushes one, so they're gonna be smaller. They don't wear armor because they're pacifists. I mean, they don't fight. They're like the Doctor, the newer seasons. What I found on the older seasons, before the ninth Doctor, they're fine with weapons, because I think that was before Gallifrey fell. Before the Great Time War. Before the Doc was not okay with guns, less American. I only got one for this group. Yeah, and that was it. They just don't wear armor because they're pacifists. I want to change that. I wanted them to where they do wear armor, but they don't really have, like, weapons. So that would make more sense. I'm going to the other nature elves, which are the flowers. They have colored hair to match their flowers and have some colored skin, but dulled in color a bit. So, like, the skin will be, like, less of a pure, less of the pure color, as, like, while their hair will be, like, the pure color of the flower they represent and the flower that they live in. The hair is also in the shape of the flowers that they live in. See? Yeah. I caught on. I didn't even read that yet. They're also pacifists. They're also pacifists and friendly with everyone. So they're like the water elves, where they're friendly with everyone, and they're also pacifists, like how they are with the bushes nature elves are. Now we're getting to the wind elves. Yay! Oh. All right, I have nothing crossed out for them, so we're good. The wind elves either have wings or they're small and light to drift on the wind. So I wanted to have wings on the back, or wings as attached to their arms and stuff, because I'm like, I like that idea. I like that character design. Or they just light enough so they can drift on the wind like a kite or a balloon. Live in cities in the clouds so they can walk on the clouds. Because it'd be weird if they're sleeping and they're just flapping their wings while they're sleeping. Because they're gonna get very tired and dehydrated and die. Drink water, guys. I think that one's out. That's me scratching it out. So we do have one that's scratched out in here. They're friends with both the sun and moon elves. Because the sky. Some have cloud-like markings on their skin. So the markings that they'll some of them will have on their skin look like clouds. I was like, oh, I love that. It's like vitiligo. The skin disease that also affects our hair. It's like vitiligo. I didn't even think about that when I was writing this, because I didn't really know about that. My grandma has it. But you can't tell because she's white. And they're relatively nice, though some are aggressive, and they are not friendly with the fire elves. They ain't friends. The fire elves know it. The fire elves accept it. They fight back. They're like, bam! But that's all I got for this video, at least. Then I'll do another video that'll hit on the rest that I got in there. And then after that, we'll just go with how we go. Anyways, see y'all. Bye.